Carson and I have been cleaning, and when I say Carson and I really mean Carson and
Both
I.
of us.
Yes, he has done such a great job, and he actually earned some money. And what else?
And ice cream.
And ice cream. So he helped them on, and he earned some money and ice cream. That's not a bad thing to be teaching these young people. But I am still cleaning, and I thought I would take a break and go ahead and make some biscuits for supper. I've been making biscuits since I was a young girl. My mother had an old Hoosier cabinet, and I would pull up a stool, and I was about 7, 8 years old. I would stand on that stool, and I would help my mama cut out biscuits. We're gonna get started. I love white lily. I don't like to use anything else. That's just me. I'm gonna guess at this. I have a 1 cup scoop that I actually keep in this container. And I usually just grab 2 scoops. I do put baking powder in here. You wanna make sure your baking powder is fresh. And I am going to add about 1 teaspoon. I like to use my iron skillet because they have nowhere to go but straight up, so they don't spread out and flatten. I'm going to use my Crisco, and I do use Crisco. This is another thing that is a must for me when I go to make biscuits. I like the butter flavored Crisco. I'll use the other 2, but I really like this. And I keep my Crisco in the freezer. This is cold, but I'm gonna go ahead and dip my paper towel in here and just get out a little bit. Now we are going to preheat our oven to 425 degrees. Now I know you never cook things on 425 degrees, but you need to cook your biscuits on a high heat. Now back to our biscuit mix. I used about 2 cups of flour and about 1 teaspoon of baking powder. And now we are going to add some Crisco to this. And I'm going to add, that is about 2 heaping tablespoons of Crisco. Now you can use whatever tool you'd like to for this, but I like to use my large fork, and we are going to cut that Crisco into that flour. Now some people like to use the well method, and I've tried it. I didn't see it makes a huge difference. And you'll see a lot of older people do that, because back in the day, they actually kept a dough bowl, what we call a dough bowl, and I actually have one. But they would keep their flour in there, and when they were ready to make biscuits, they would just throw in their lard and put the milk in, and they would use their hands, and they'd get that flour, and once they were through, they would make biscuits, and they would cover the flour, because they didn't want to waste anything. Now you don't want any big chunks of Crisco in here, so we're gonna cut this in. It's really super easy, and it is going to look like this. Now we're going to use some milk. And I know some of you are gonna snarl your nose at me, but when your milk expires, you can hang on to it for up to a week. I really like to use buttermilk or some expired milk. And as long as it's not clabbered, I will use it. So let's check this out. And it's not clabbered. Shake it. And by the way, I've been using expired milk for up to a week for years and years, and I'm not dead yet, so it's okay. Now I'm gonna measure this for you, and I usually put a little over a cup, but I'm gonna go ahead and pour a cup. This milk actually still smells good, so. I like my dough to be wet, so I'm gonna add just a little bit more. So I probably used a cup and maybe a 1/4. I like to use my platter because it's just me and my husband, and I usually just make 1 pan of biscuits. Now go ahead and take your surface that you're gonna roll out your biscuits on, and go ahead and put some flour down. We are going to go wash our hands very thoroughly. Sing the happy birthday song maybe twice, and I'll be back. Oh, and by the way, take those rings off too if you can get them off. So I'm gonna put some flour in one corner for my biscuit cutter, and I'm gonna really coat that well. Now I'm gonna take my rolling pin, and guess what guys, this is my great grandmother's rolling pin. Look how crooked that is. I think that is so neat.
Yeah.
And I love this one because it's just perfect. It's small, and I get flour everywhere. Did I just get it on you? Now we're gonna drop this down on here.
Yep.
Our platter. Now what I like to do is go ahead and toss it around and get some flour on it. And then I want to take my rolling pin and I'm going to roll it out. And then once I get it rolled out, I'm going to fold it.
Yep.
Okay?
And then
just like that. And then I'm going to press it together a couple of times. Knead it. And then I'm going to roll it out again.
Yep.
And then I'm going to fold it again. And you want to make sure the surface underneath has some flour so they don't stick when you finally roll them out. I'm done with that. And that's going to help create those layers. And we are going to roll this out. And I like mine a little thick. I'm guessing anywhere from a ½ inch to an inch thick. Now we're going to take this biscuit cutter and we're just going to cut out some biscuits. Okay. Now watch.
Okay.
I'm going to show Carson and I'll show you too. You go straight down.
Okay.
Pick straight up.
Okay.
And the reason you do that is because when you cut that biscuit and you twist it, you're sealing those edges and you don't want to do that. So just straight up and down.
Then take one.
Like that. Push down
Got it.
and straight up and dip it in the flour.
Okay.
Think you can do that? We'll see. Okay. And I like to take my biscuits and just kind of toss them to get that excess flour off. Just push that dough together and now I'm just going to roll it out again. And Carson's going to cut them out because he's super at that. Okay, go ahead. Get some flour on it first. Start at one end and work at the other. There you go. Straight down. This kid is doing a good job. So at the end, you're either going to end up with a very large biscuit or a very small biscuit. And we ended up with the itty bitty biscuit. But I'm going to go ahead and put these in the oven. I usually leave them in there about 10 to 15 minutes and I'll be back. Okay, fresh and hot out of the oven. Now I melted 3 tablespoons of butter in the microwave and I'm just going to pour this on top of it.
The whole thing.
The whole thing.
Oh, look at that flaming hot one.
Yes, it's flaming hot. To show you how it looks when you open it up. Is it good?
Mm-hmm.
You want another bite? Too hot? It's too hot for him. It's really bad when you like your own cooking. Y'all, this is so good.
Real good.